Good morning, students of standard 9. Welcome in day 7. In day 6, I have taught an important topic Kepler's law. Okay. Today I am going to teach you about inverse square law, which is I have already taught, but today I will explain how it is proved by Kepler's law. Okay, so kindly request to all of you, please sit with pen, notebook and your science book and turn page number 127. Okay, you all turn page number 127 and see there is a derivation of inverse square law. So let us see how it is derived. So going to this, before let us know about what is inverse square law. I have taught you all inverse square law means the second part of the definition of the Newton's law of gravitation. Okay, that means you can say that inverse square law state that when two objects is separated by a distance r, then the gravitational force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. That means F is inversely proportional to r square. F proportional 1 by r square. Okay, here you will just prove these terms, how it is proved. Okay, so let us see here. When a planet moves with a velocity v, any planet moves in an elliptical path with velocity v in a circular orbit or elliptical orbit of radius r, then force acting on the orbiting planet is given by centripetal force F is proportional to v square by r. Okay, F proportional to, that means the force of gravitation is here, F proportional to v square by r. Okay, and just move on. Chapter 1, velocity is equal to distance by time. Distance is here circular path, so circumference of circle is 2 pi r. So distance is equal to 2 pi r by time taken t. Okay, so you will say here v, velocity is equal to distance or displacement 2 pi r by t. Now you will square to both sides, left side and right side, then it becomes v square and this becomes 2 pi r by t whole square. Okay, and this is 2 to the 4 pi square r square by t square. Okay, v square is equal to 4 pi square r square by t square. 4 is a constant term and pi is also a constant term, which value is 22 by 7, and the square of pi is also constant term, so we can say that this is constant term. 4 pi square is constant term, so you can write here v square proportional sine r square by t square. Okay, when you just add constant term, then it becomes proportional sign becomes equal to, so equal to and proportional sign become equal to and constant term become proportional sign. Okay, so v square proportional r square by t square. Then after you will multiply and divide by r in numerator and denominator. Okay, v square proportional r square by t square, this is actual expression. Okay, but you will here multiply with r in numerator and multiply with r in denominator. Okay, now it becomes v square proportional r square into r cube by t square into 1 by r. Okay, r into r square r cube, this becomes 1 by r. You will just separate them. Okay, then you know from Kepler's third law. Kepler's third law is that r cube by t square is equal to constant. Okay, so you can say here v square is equal to 1 by r. Okay, this is constant term r cube by t square from Kepler's law. So we can say that v square equal to 1 by r. Okay, now put the value of v square equal to 1 by r in this equation. Okay, you know this equation, f proportional v square by r, f proportional v square, put the value of v square is equal to 1 by r, and this r is here r. So this becomes f proportional to 1 by r square. So inverse square law is proved is derived by the Kepler's third law. Okay, students. Now let us see next topic. Now let us see next topic. Unit of gravitational constant G. Okay. In day 1 I have in day 2 I have explained this topic, but here see in details because this topic is here. Okay, so let us see unit of gravitational constant G. Okay, so let us see. We know that F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square. So try to separate the value of G. Okay, then it goes to here F r square is equal to G m1 into m2. Okay, so G is equal to F r square by m1 into m2. Okay, now put the value of SI unit of these terms. F is here force, so SI unit of force is Newton. R distance between two objects, you know distance is measured in meter, so it's meter square. M1 mass of the first object kilogram, SI unit of mass is kilogram. M2 mass of second body kilogram. Okay, so here G is equal to Newton meter square by kg into kg. So G is equal to Newton meter square by kg square. So we can say that G is equal to Newton meter square kg minus 2. Okay, so we can say that SI unit of gravitational constant G is equal to Newton meter square kg minus 2. Now let us see next topic. Students, see next topic, value of the gravitational constant G. Okay, you know F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square. That means G is equal to F r square by m1 into m2. Just separate the value of G. Okay, now let us m1 is equal to m2. Suppose that both objects are equal in mass 1 kg. Okay, and the distance between them is 1 meter. Then put the value of r 1 square and mass m1 1 kg into 1 kg. That means G becomes equal to F. So we can say that the value of gravitational constant G is equal to the value of the force of gravitation between them are equal when both objects have equal masses and the distance between them is 1 meter. Okay, students, after this topic one question is asking in your book, why gravitational constant is called universal constant. It is too easy, it is always asked for 2 marks. Okay, in your examination. Gravitational constant capital G is called universal constant because its value is always fixed in any place on the universe. Okay, that means its value does not change. Its value is 6.67 into 10 to the minus 11 Newton meter square kg minus 2 in all the places on the universe. So it is called gravitational constant. Students, now it's time for your homework. Write down homework. Students, this is your homework for day 7. Today I have given only one question. Why is G, that means gravitational constant, called the universal constant? Okay, your question is, why is capital G called the universal constant? Students, today's class is over. Thanks to all of you for watching me. Have a nice day.